Now, spring football is back.
What could possibly go wrong?
On Saturday, we are finally going to get the kickoff of the inaugural USFL season, and they're doing a lot of exciting stuff so far, man. They're hiring ex-coaching legends to be in the broadcast booth. They're putting chips into footballs. They want to make their footballs glow. There's a bunch of rule changes that they're going to have that's going to make it kind of different from an NFL game, but for the most part, I think this is going to be a welcome addition for most of you guys. Typically, with these startup football leagues, the way they try to get new fans to really be into their product is they'll introduce a bunch of innovative rules and try them out. These would be rules that the NFL would be too scared to try because they're unsure if they would work. But in the past, you saw the XFL, and I'm talking about the early 2000s XFL, introduce the Skycam. The NFL now uses the Skycam all the time, and hopefully maybe some of these new rules could be eventually picked up by the NFL because I like a lot of them that are being introduced here. Now, before we get to the content, man, this Friday I'm going to announce a giveaway winner, $500 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. It'll be announced on my community tab. It doesn't matter if you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, so long as you have that notification bell on, you have entered. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? This video is very near and dear to my heart, man, because the very first video on this YouTube channel that popped off is XFL rules compared to NFL rules, and that's what got my first little boost of subscribers and was pretty much my proof of concept to continue making NFL videos despite already having an NBA channel. I'm a little reminiscent here, man. 500,000 subscribers later, we're doing the exact same thing for the USFL a few years later. So from the bottom of my heart, man, I really wanted to thank you guys. Now, I don't want to waste too much of the video being sentimental. Just know I appreciate each and every one of you guys for your support. And let's start with some very interesting rules that the USFL is going to introduce. The very first thing that caught my eye that even made me want to make this video is we got some breaking news in regards to the announcers that the USFL is going to use. And believe me, it's not someone that you would initially think of as your first choice for a color commentator or an analyst for football games, because we have Kurt Menefee, who has had experience calling games in the past. But in addition to that, the big fish acquisition that both NBC Sports and Fox Sports have decided upon is none other than Jason Garrett. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Garrett and Kurt Menefee are going to be amongst the NBC and Fox announcers for the new USFL season. As a matter of fact, this comes to us from Field Yates, who says former Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett has a media gig as he will be an analyst on NBC's coverage of the USFL. I wonder what Jason Garrett could even contribute in regards to the analysis of the game. Is he going to sit back and overanalyze how head coaches are chewing their gum if they are clapping enough times consecutively while they are chewing the gum? Now, in addition to Jason Garrett, it appears as though NBC will have Jack Collinsworth and Paul Burmeister handling play-by-play duties, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and head coach Jason Garrett as one of the game's analysts, and former NFL players Michael Robinson and Cameron Jordan will also serve as analysts, with Zora Stevenson and Corey Robinson on the sidelines and Sarah Perlman on pregame and postgame coverage. Meanwhile, Fox NFL Sunday host Kurt Menefee and longtime lead college football analyst Joel Klatt will form one of the network's broadcast teams. In addition, veteran play-by-play by Kevin Kugler, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez, and Brock Hurard will also contribute to Fox's coverage. The two networks will combine to present all 43 USFL games live this season. NBC Sports will carry 22 games across its family of networks, including 9 games on NBC, 9 on the USA Network, and 4 on Peacock, which will also stream all the NBC games live. Fox Sports will carry 14 of its games on Fox, with the remaining 8 on FS1. So it seems very promising, man. I'm interested to see how Jason Garrett is going to be commentating and how he's going to be analyzing these games. But there's more than just color commentary that comes into play here. What is really fascinating is is how the USFL is trying to change the game of football. Now, so far, the USFL and the XFL kind of are in a bit of a arms race. I mean, the XFL is technically a partner with the NFL, although not in the way that you think. We made a video about this in the past, but the USFL is trying to get a leg up on the XFL just in terms of technology. Because check this out, we heard a few days ago that the USFL is going to eliminate chains and measure first downs with a chip in the ball and yellow line on TV. So you might be wondering, Mike, that sounds really freaking cool. Why does the NFL still use chains to, well, for lack of a better way of saying it, to move the chains? Well, the thing is, I don't know how accurate this is going to be in regards to being able to determine whether or not a first down was converted. We did get to see this during the first USFL preseason game, and don't get it twisted, it does look really freaking cool, but the NFL already reportedly has a chip in every football, but it uses those chips only for its next-gen stats tracking data and not for officiating. And that's because the chips in the middle of every football are just not accurate enough to locate where a football is to the inch. The data works fine as a good approximation of where the ball is, give or take the length of one football, but it doesn't tell you whether a third down play just barely picked up the first down or whether the offense should be facing fourth and inches. Typically, this works really well in tennis. It looks like the USFL is going to test it out. I'm excited to see whether or not it works out. For all you know, it does work, although there are already skeptics in regards to that. We also found out another piece of cool information, and this is before we even get to the rules, and that's the fact that the USFL is going to apparently use a football that glows when it reaches the goal line. And according to former NFL fullback and Dallas Cowboys legend Moose Johnston, that's something we're hoping to have this season. So it's unclear when they're going to have this, but it is a goal that they have. Now, finally, let's get to the main reason you guys clicked on this video, and that's the rules of the USFL and how they are different from a traditional NFL game. Now, they hired Mike Pereira as the head of officiating for the USFL. You may be familiar with Mike Pereira. He used to be the guy before Dean Blandino who would come in and explain NFL rules. It looks like he's going to be taking the same exact role with the USFL. The very first rule that was changed was the scoring. Teams that score a touchdown will have 3 options for extra points. A team could choose to go for 1, 2, or 3 points after the score. For 1 point, the team would kick a 15-yard field goal. For 2 points, a team would have to cross the goal line from the 2-yard line. Now, for 3 points, a team can try to score from the 10-yard line. Now, I think this is really freaking cool. I do want to see more situations where a team could potentially come back if they're down big in the game. I feel like this is the perfect give and take for a football team and what they have to accomplish to get 3 whole additional points added on after scoring a touchdown. Pereira also elaborated saying that here's the thing, we wanted to keep the game close in the fourth quarter. So we think of a 1-score game as like an 8-point game, a touchdown and extra points. Well, now it's a 9-point game. It kind of gives that excitement to the fourth quarter. Even thinking, okay, 18 points down, I'm still down by only 2 scores. That's an innovation that I think is going to be really cool. Let me know what you guys think about this rule, because I'm personally really down for this. I would love to see more close games. I would love to be on the edge of my seat and say, okay, this team still has a chance. I know they're down by 9, but if they score a touchdown and then are able to convert from the 10-yard line, then they could potentially tie the game. Now, another big innovation that they're going to do here is a brand new kickoff that they brought from the Spring League last year, where you kick off from the 25-yard line and everything as a result of this is going to be returned. Now, 95% of kickoffs were returned in the Spring League last year, and Mike Pereira thinks it's going to be the same this year. So you might be thinking, Mike, 95% of the time the kickoff is going to be returned. That sounds very dangerous and unsustainable. Well, they have a solution to this. We line up the teams close together so they're running downfield after the ball is kicked. So it's going to be more like a punt, so it's going to be a safer kickoff return. It's something we're going to monitor, but I think with so many kickoff returns from the 25-yard line, the drive start is going to be out by like the 40 or 45-yard line. It's going to help the offense, and it's one of the innovations. We're trying to get the kickoff back in the game, but trying to keep it safe as well. Bear in mind that it's very important that they do this. The fact that the offense gets a little bit of a boost is going to make the game a little bit more watchable, primarily because this is not an NFL football game. You know, a lot of guys in the USFL, how do I say this delicately, are in the USFL for a reason. If you have them starting out at the 20-yard line or the 25-yard line, then you're going to watch a quarterback that you really haven't heard of in multiple years try to drive the ball down. It might be very difficult for him to get the conversions that he needs in order to score a touchdown, which could result in low-scoring games, which could make the game more boring. So it makes a lot of sense why they would want to do this. And it sounds like they're doing it in a very safe way. Now, here is by far one of my favorite rules, and I think this is so freaking cool because I don't think the kickoff rule will ever be adopted by the NFL. I don't know if the 3-point rule after a touchdown will ever be adopted by the NFL, but this is a rule that could potentially be adopted one day. At least I'd hope. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So teams have an additional option in addition to an onside kick if they're trying to get the football back after scoring. And this is a very similar theme to the 3-point conversion. The team could either try an onside kick to try to get the football back, or they could convert a 4th and 12 play from their own 33-yard line, which Mike Pereira said is risky. You're gonna basically say after you get a touchdown and an extra point and you're behind, or maybe you're not even behind, but you want to get the ball back, the traditional onside kick right now is very difficult to recover. We know that with the stats that are in the NFL. We thought, let's put a scrimmage play on board. Let's give you the ball 4th and 12 at the 33-yard line and play football. You get a play, and if you make a first down, you actually can keep the ball. Now, this is really freaking cool. I don't think this is going to ever come into the NFL, mainly because I'm just trying to imagine the Kansas City Chiefs just absolutely abusing this rule over and over again. I can see Tom Brady abusing the living crap out of this rule over and over again. Now, look at this. If you don't make a first down, things get a little bit interesting. The risk is high because if you get sacked, for example, the defense is going to get the ball there. It's been done before. It's not brand new. Other spring leagues have tried it, but it's a good addition for those teams who don't like their chances on the onside kick to keep the ball. I love this rule. I mean, I don't think it'll make it to the NFL, but I still think it's a really cool rule that's going to make the game way more interesting. Now, finally, overtime is going to be significantly different from the NFL. As you know, the NFL recently changed their overtime rules, and it seems like the USFL is going to have a significantly different overtime. Overtime is going to be a best-of-3 shootout. Each offense will try to score from the 2-yard line, and each successful play will result in 2 points. The team with the most points after 3 plays will be the winner. Any subsequent attempts will become sudden death if the score is tied after each team runs 3 plays, with the period extending until there's a winner. It's a different approach, a different look to overtime, which we know everybody's been talking about. I honestly am looking forward to this league, man. It sounds like they have the pieces in place. It sounds like they have the right personnel in place, but historically we've seen this over and over again. We've seen it with AAF and the XFL. It seemed like everything was looking really freaking good back then, and then something went wrong, and ultimately we lost spring football. Hopefully that isn't the case this year, and we're gonna make sure that we keep you guys up to date with the USFL. Make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications so you never miss an upload. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.